I got you, people. So here's the thing with relationships and going forward, or not being in a relationship, or trying to stay in a relationship. As for me, I was in a relationship, but now that it's done, it should be done, right? But it seems that the person that I was with, it's not done, because the person keeps on arguing with me about other people that are not even associated with me as a client, because what I work at, deals with mostly women, older women that like to shop and need the deliveries, right? So I work for these stores. I got a couple of stores that I do deliveries for, that I work for. So I work for the store to do the deliveries, but after that, the consumer is my customer, because I have to do the deliveries for them, and then mostly all of them are females. They're women of age. So a particular woman calls me, she's of age, right? And my other person, supposedly that we were in a relationship, was arguing with me that who is she, who's that? I said, listen, that's my client, and I do deliveries for her. And she came out of no way. You know how women get, they overreact and assume things. It's all assuming. These girls, well, she's not a girl anymore. She's an older girl already, and that her prime. Already, she should have learned enough from her age, teenage to her 50s, that she should have learned enough to figure out what's right and what's wrong, and how she's gonna stay in a relationship, or how she's gonna hold on to a relationship that's gonna be beneficial to both. But it doesn't work like that, because these women, or most of them, I don't know, but there's a lot of things going on with women these days, that now a lot of men are just not having it and just are staying single. So I have a problem with this particular acts, whatever you want to call them, or acts, whatever I call them. Nothing. Once you gone, and that's it. So she started arguing with me. I tell her, yo, start arguing with me and explain yourself. What is it that is you think is wrong, that I'm doing wrong? Instead of cursing, because the person doesn't talk in words or gives me an explanation, or they want to yell and curse. So she's not explaining to me anything. I already explained to her, that's my client. I do deliveries for her, and she pays me. That's how it goes, And she gets mad, telling me that I'm playing her, whatever. I've been doing this for a while. And, she's just delusional, thinking of things and making these things up without having any proof or evidence or of anything. It's just accusation that they bring out, fantasizing at their mind, because your mind play tricks on you. As you are an insecure person and you think somebody's doing something to you, you always going to be thinking things in your head and plotting your own self that someone is doing bad to you when they're not. It's all in your head, and you're just creating trouble for yourself and for everybody else. But the thing is that I say these people haven't grown up. They still think like teenagers, and I don't deal with that. So I don't like to deal with it. I tell them, listen, if you're going to call me, you better talk to me in a sentence. Don't call me to curse and yell, because you're not going to get nowhere. So I hang up. That's what I do. I don't have time for that. I'm already in my 60s. I ain't got time for that. Especially if you are an older woman and you're already thinking that the person you're with, if playing you, or you have some insecurities, you might as well be single. You shouldn't be trying to date somebody because you haven't get over your troubles. You come in with trouble already to another relationship where you should have left that all behind, and think more maturely that if you don't have something, ground evidence that the person is doing something, you shouldn't fabricate a fantasy, because that's what it is, a fantasy in your head. You delusion, and creating a fantasy that hasn't happened yet. But being that is, I would say people that haven't have experience or don't want to learn from older people, they're never gonna grow and expand because they're so center and they think that everything they do is right. Because I was like that before. When I was young, I thought I knew all the answers and my way was the right way. But it wasn't. Everything I was doing was wrong and it came out right. So I had to get my input, right? My information from older people. And so that's how I started getting better. So I don't argue with nobody and things like that. I try to explain myself the best way possible. I cannot force somebody to believe me or take what I'm saying is true. Thing is that you gotta be humble and listen and understand. You don't go and try to force your ideas in the other person's head and trying to say that you wrong and you right. It doesn't work like that. Your relationship is not gonna work if you still talking about your past. If you get into a relationship and you come out to this guy, oh my ex liked it like that. He always liked it like this. You know what? I throw the bitch out right then, pack the fuck up and get the fuck out of my place. Just like that. I ain't want to hear that shit. You coming to me and you want to start a relationship. Now you're already talking about that your ex liked it like that. Like if I gotta like shit like that, no. You get the fuck out and try that shit somewhere else. That's how you gotta do, man. Man's gotta stop being soft and stop kissing women's ass and whatever they say. Because you think you're not going to get no ass anymore and you're going to kneel down to the and do that shit. No. If your woman is wrong, she's wrong and that's it. You stick to your ground. Don't try to kiss her ass, because even though she's wrong, you're going to make her feel right so she can keep on and continue manipulating you because that's what is going to happen. She's going to try to keep on doing things to you because she knows you're going to fold and kiss her ass so you go accept her and do things like that. No. It's the girl, it's not over her past relationship and she's gonna bring some shit up from her ex or anybody, what she done or whatever. Get rid of the bitch right away. Fuck that shit. She had no business being in a relationship with another person. That's it. And this person is an older woman, right, that I do these deliveries from. But there's a lot of them though. But this particular one, because she's close, so I help her because she's like an elderly woman. So I help her, and this girl trying to say that I'm trying to have a relationship with this lady. I mean, the lady could be like my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and things like that. She's as old as her mother. And, and she got some delusional things in her head that things are going on. She places things in her own head and fabricate things, and she want to argue with it that I'm doing something or that what she thinks that I'm doing or what's happening. She fabricates all this and she creates this delusion and she wants to argue all the time. And now, not with that, I never argue. When I was younger, I basically kept my mind to my soul because of that reason. I really don't like to talk to people that they don't have their head straight. But it's not my job to help them. I like sometimes to listen to people, their problems, to give them a lot of relief and relax. But sometimes I tell them straight up, listen, you got to change. It's not working the way you want it. You need to accept other people's advice because as that person, made it, he went through and he's telling you you're doing it wrong. You need to accept it because you don't ask for his advice and then you don't accept it. Just don't make no sense. So you're just wasting your time and his time and my time. That's not the way it works. There's a reason why people are older and they got wisdom and they got knowledge because they went through it. Knowledge is something you go through and experience. And wisdom is something they made the right choices without going through the trouble or experience, or the hardship because they made a wise decision. So it's easy to make wise decisions if you know this person already is bringing up the past and bringing out trouble, and she can't complete a sentence without cursing and yelling. You need to get rid of that person. Being that I'm involved with something there, so I just don't leave because I'm tied regardless in that relationship. But I do not condone that. I don't wish it on my kids or anybody else. So it's bad. When you're an adult, you should act like an adult and trying to explain yourself. Don't trying to act like you already 50 or 54, 56. Going to your 60 and you still acting like a teenager. You act like you're a teenager. You start cursing and fabricating things. Oh, you playing me. Talking street language. That's an indication that you haven't evolved. You haven't learned anything throughout all your years. You're just putting yourself down. People like that, people don't pay no mind to them. They listen to you but never call you again. Then they're going to see you as a potential person that they could get advice to. They're not going to call you for any advice because all you have is profanity, observe, thinking. You think like a teenager, like a child. An adult person will give you an explanation why things are going on or how you're going to change it. But cursing and fabricating stuff and yelling is not going to help the situation. Right? So that's why I usually stick to myself, because I don't want to hear other people's trouble. Because a lot of people come with trouble, and even if strangers, it's better to hear a stranger's trouble, because you're not going to see them again and explain to them whether they take it or not. It's not. But when you have a relative or somebody close to you that you try to help, but they just don't listen, it's just constantly they bombard you with problems, but they don't take their advice, those people are never going to change. So it's not your job or my job to change them. That's why usually I don't have conversations with people, because people, when they don't have this understanding, they get upset, they want to fight you. They want to move things around, like, they want to intimidate you, because they use that. They probably sometimes they don't even know it, that they're doing these things, because they need somebody to show them, listen, you're doing it the wrong way. You're not going to get proper help if you acting the way you are, and you don't want to listen, and you don't want to go through the procedures and how to change. You cannot change overnight. It took me 2 years to take therapy in order for me to go through this motion. It's hard, because as you're still doing right, things don't go well for you. You just got to hold on until things start falling into place, and then you will calm down and your life will change. But your life is not going to change if you're going to keep on cursing, yelling, always blaming the world, always blaming somebody else that things don't work because they don't let you, or they always put something in the way. No, that's part of life. That's obstacles that you got to go through. Everybody's got to go through that. There's no way around it. Everybody's got to go to the chain of command. That's what they call it, right? I would say the military. You got to go to the chain of command in order to get to where you want to the top. Once you reach the top, then you could act out the way you want, because you already been through the experience, and you could always fall back to it. But if you don't have the experience and you want to get to the top, and all you do is fight with your superiors and people that already went through the experience and have the wisdom, you're not going to get nowhere. You're going to be kicking rocks in front of you all the time, because you're always going to have that rock in front of you, because you don't want to take advice from people that have been through it, and they know, and they experienced it, and they know what it takes to change. But most of these people don't want to change. They don't want to hear it. Their mind is so locked. It's like a rock. You can't change a rock into something else, right? You cannot change a rock into water and water into a rock. It's always going to be water, and it's always going to be a rock. So that's how these people are. They never change. So if you're not seeking change, and you're not trying to change the way you think to move ahead, you're not going to make it nowhere. It's sad to say, but sometimes you got to tell these people, you're just a loser. That's what they are. They're losers. They don't want to admit it. They lose. And when people tell them, they get more agitated, more angry. And they don't know how to say, well, he's calling me a loser. Well, I got to change that. No, they don't think like that. They want to get more sad. They want to curse. So right there, their teenage mentality or their ghetto mentality still comes out. So it's no way around these people. You can't change them. You have to let them be, and you have to move on yourself. So I cannot let nobody hold me back. Even though I have control now and I could handle it. But if I was another person, right, they wouldn't handle it. Right? They probably would have beat the girl, their wives, their spouse, their girlfriend, whatever it is. And things like that. But I don't got time for that. I love my life and I love my freedom. The only time I could get physical and violent is when I need to protect myself. But other than that, I have no interest of hurting anybody, or I don't allow nobody trying to hurt me or try to intimidate me or put fear on me, because that triggers things, things like that. But other than that, I'm a humble person. I try to help people as much as I can. But if you can't be helped because you don't want to be helped, and you don't want to listen to people that already been through the situation, because you still think you know it all, because they still think like teenagers think they know it all just because they went through school, they made a few things, they got a few medals, and they think you know it. No, when you leave your high school, graduation or whatever, and college, it doesn't matter. When you go out to the real world, it's a different program. People don't think school time days, they took reality. Just because you got a degree, a master's degree, you're just not gonna fall in there and just show that you think you're gonna get a job. No, there's competition, and if you cannot provide what the employer wants or anybody wants, you're not gonna get hired. Your degree, your master's, your PhD is not gonna be anything to anyone if you don't know how to conduct yourself like a civilized person. And that doesn't mean to be humble and new to anybody. No, there's things that you gotta follow, right? Like protocol, right? Like we say, it's certain steps that you gotta go through. It goes with everything in life. There's certain procedure steps that everybody gotta follow in order to get to the top. But anyway, the video was about people that don't want to change the way of thinking, that they still think they're teenagers when you're already 50, 58, and you're still acting like a child, a teenager, adolescent. It's time to grow up and think above that and excel. Nobody's gonna come to you and guide you all the time and give you this time. You should appreciate that people that are there for you, that's giving you this time. You appreciate it and take advantage. But people don't do that. People just waste time. That's why most people don't care about anybody that's not doing nothing for themselves. Like rich people don't care about the middle class or the poor. They don't. Everybody got there. The rich got there because they put in work and they put in struggle. They're not gonna go step down to the middle class or the lower class and the poor, because they just don't understand. They're in a different level. And with that, people, I let you go and you think about that.